Hello, welcome to HiCode tutorial. In this course, I will be guiding you through the HiCode widgets. First, type in your browser editor.hicode.com and this will lead you to the editor. We're going to create a new project called Widgets for this lesson. Remember from the last video, we can find the widgets on the left side of the editor and from the widgets bar. Widgets are an elemental unit in HiCode developing, and to fully grasp the idea of a unit, we'll have to look at three elements: its property, action, and trigger. For this video, we'll be looking at properties, because this is enough to give you an idea of what a widget does, and for the other two parts, we will talk about them later after we've learned about events. Also, for today, you only need to have a rough idea of these widgets. We're not going to actually learn how to use them. Just make a mind note of these widgets today, and when you are developing your own project, you can recall from this video and know, oh, I can use this widget here and I can use that widget there. At that time, you can go to the documentation center to see the examples of the widgets you're gonna use and learn about that specific widget as you encounter it. Now let's get started from the top of the widgets bar. Click this widgets button and now we come to the extended widgets section. Here you can find some built-in widgets which are written by HiCode for us in a programming language called React. And HiCode thinks these are the widgets that we might frequently use throughout our designs. First, in the UE section, we can find this radio button, checkbox, single select, multi-select. Those are drop-down lists, and step, slider, two different switches, a search box, and rate. If you find yourself interested in one of them, just add it to the stage and see how it works. For example, this radio button. It is here, and if I click it, I can check and uncheck it, and also it changes accordingly in the property panel. This rate widget allows us to select stars, like rate in the App Store. Like if I give it 5 stars or 4, it sets the rate value here in the property panel. We can see these are some special properties for this rate widget. We can also check its properties by hovering over this widget, and we can see all its properties here. Next, in the navigation section, there are tab bar, nav bar, menu, and pagination. We will be using them in a later video about page layout. And next, for selectors, we have color selectors, calendar, scrollable calendar, month picker, and so many else selectors. Let's select a calendar to see what it looks like. And see, just a single click and you'll have a calendar at your disposal. And next, special functional widgets. Also, you can hover over them to see its properties, or you can add them to the stage to try them out. And finally, we have the charts. You can see we have bar and line charts here, so this part is generally for data display. Now let's get back to the essentials. For the first section of our widgets, the system widgets and the widgets for communication, the first thing we have here is the wrap. This one doesn't have any actual effect on our project or the program. It just serves as a tool to help us organize our widget tree. Like if I find this too messy here, I can group them, click and drag them into the wrap box and group them, like this to go inside the wrap box. It helps to make the program more readable and help us maintain our project in the future. What we usually do is to put widgets of the same type into one wrap, or we can group them according to their function. For example, I can add some variables and put all the variables into one wrap. And I can create another wrap to hold these actions. I can rename this wrap to actions. So later, when I'm looking for actions, I can go to this wrap. Next, we have API widget. This links to some pre-developed functions or programs that others can use without understanding how it works. It allows us to realize complicated functions through the services provided by other platforms, such as weather broadcasting. Later, there will be a separate course for API widget. Next, we have sockets. Sockets are used for simultaneous communication between multiple devices or multiple applications. You can use it for group chat or multiple player online game. This is a very powerful widget, and there will also be a separate course for this widget. Next one is the system widget. You can see here when I create a new project, a system widget is automatically added here. Later we can use it to test bugs, or we can use it to get system time or the URL of our page. Later we'll see how system widget is going to help us test bugs in your video course on events. Next we have storage utility. This includes the data stored in the local browser, including cookies and local storage and session storage. It doesn't matter if you're not familiar with these glossaries now. When you're in need of this data, just come back to this storage utility widget. Next, we have file utility. Basically, this is for uploading resources or downloading. So, such as when you want to upload a picture or a file, you will need this file utility widget. And for view utility widget, it can help us to show window alert, loading sign, toasts, and show and hide cursor. Later we can use these effects to improve user experience. And this device utility widget gives us access to some certain function on a certain device. On a mobile device, for example, we can use the sensors like the gyroscope, and we can use the GPS to get location. We can also let device vibrate. Actually, for the system widgets we've just saw, you don't have to add them to the widgets tree when you are in need of them. You can access them through other widgets. I will talk about that later in a different course on events. Next, we have a group of essential UI widgets. The first one here is the image. It is used to add an image to the current position. We can either use it for the background or for accessories. We can also add a trigger to this image to use it as a button. For example, we can have users to click this image and upload their own profile pictures. And next, image series. As its name suggests, it is a series of images. You may select multiple images or one GIF series. It also allows you to set the duration time and the effects of switching images. And the next one is the text widget. It is used to contain a piece of text. And for this bitmap font, you'll need to know that it is actually an image, not a piece of text. So you can't bind text values to it. And this is an input box. It has many similar properties as the text widget. It allows users to input from their keyboards, and so that we can collect data from them. An input box has many similar properties as a text widget. You can set the font style, background color, and the border properties. And you can also change the placeholder to give user hints about what they are supposed to type into it. Next, we have button. This is used for interaction. It can recognize different behaviors like left click, long tap, mouse over, mouse out, etc. And you can use these behaviors as triggers for other events. You can customize the appearance of a button. And if you clear the background, it becomes transparent. You can also set the font color to transparent and cover the button on top of other elements. Those two are the audio and video widgets. HiCode has some limitations on the size and format of the audio and video files. I will put them on the screen so you can check them. If you need to upload an audio or video file that exceeds the size limit, you can cut it into several pieces and upload them separately. And next we have the rich text widget and the rich text editor. Rich text is a very powerful text widget which supports a lot more styles than the ordinary text widget. The difference between these two is that this one is for display and this one is an editor, so it allows user to create a piece of rich text. You may want to use this when you are building a forum or a blog page. And this one is the Web View widget. It is used to nest a web page inside the page that we are designing. Icons. In Icons, you can upload your own SVG files, which stand for Scalable Vector Graphics. SVG graphics do not lose any quality if they are zoomed or resized. You can use icons as buttons or for other interactive use. This is a counter. It integrates storage, calculation, and display. We can use it to perform increment, decrement, roundings, or to generate random numbers. Next, we have the QR code widget. QR code is a very handy tool for carrying information. We can embed a link in the QR code so that when our user scans the code, they will jump to a certain web page. Of course, there are many other kinds of information that we can put in a QR code. And this is a divider. This is a horizontal or vertical line that helps us with the design to separate contents into different blocks on our page. The front-end live video widget is usually used together with the live video widget on the backend. It receives video stream from the server, decodes it, and plays the video. The next group here is for containers and layout widgets. First, we have this v4 widget. As its name suggests, it does something like in programming languages. It is used for dynamically create a series of UI units that use the same structure and logic. You can bind data to this v4 widget to dynamically control the content and the property values of these UI units. v4 widget usually goes together with this v-it widget. These are two very important widgets for the front-end design, and basically we'll be seeing them everywhere. So there will be a separate session for these two. And this one is a form widget. It makes collecting data more convenient. For example, you can use it to create a register page. There will also be a separate video for this widget. And next we have root widget. This is like a special if widget, and it displays different content based on this condition and different path or URLs. Next, this is page. This is the most commonly used widget on a stage. Each page displays different content that is under this page. You can use events for the stage to let your project jump to different pages. An absolute positioning block creates a sub-absolute positioning environment in a relative positioning project. You can add this block when you want to use absolute positioning for some certain area. Next, we have rows and columns. Inside a row, elements stack from left to right, and as for columns, the things we add start from top to bottom. Next, a scroller. A scroller is like a column integrated with sliding and scrolling effects. If we want to have a very long page, or we want this loading effect, we can use a scroller. And this grid widget, it is supposed to create a table on your page, and the rows and columns and its data changes dynamically with the data as the program runs. It is not displaying anything because now there's no value binded to it. Later, you can use it together with the databases on the server. A tree widget is usually used for creating a content tree that has a parent-child structure, and you can fold and unfold it. And JSON tree is used for displaying data that is in JSON format. A timeline widget helps to create animation for its children, and it can also align keyframes. We have some more special widgets here. Canvas is a bitmap environment where you can draw with JavaScript. You can render image, create animation, and Canvas helps you develop HTML5 games and animation. The next one, IH5 diagram, is used for drawing flow diagrams. It should be used with a data flow widget on the server. This is a possible example of this IH5 diagram. In a flow diagram like this, when you input 1, 6, and 9, it will output and tell you that the nodes that are now pending approval are 13, 14, 10, 11, and 4. Next, we have this panel widget. It is used to create a panoramic view. You'll need to first prepare your picture with for example a panoramic camera, and the system will help you to create a panoramic view and switch between different perspectives. This will be easier than 3D modeling. It requires less data and puts less burden to the system. And this 3D world is a container for displaying 3D models. You can also realize 3D animation and 3D games. This is built with WebGL in HTML5. Now we've come to the data widgets. Data widgets are used for temporarily storing data and processing them. For example, a string widget can be used to store a character or a string. And number widgets are used for storing data that needs calculation. Your know-how about these data widgets will greatly facilitate your high-code developing journey, and there will also be separate courses for these data widgets. We have also predefined some special widgets for Excel and apps. Now I'm going to the server. And as you can see, we now have a set of widgets that is different from what we have on the stage. Since we separate front-end and back-end design in high-code, we also have different widgets. This one is API, which we've already mentioned, and Socket is used for communication, like realizing an online group chat, and SMS widget for sending text messages, and email widgets for sending and receiving emails. And next, encryption widget. It can be used for encryption and decryption. And we also have a set of data widgets for the server. Each of these server widgets is kind of unique, like the service and database. I will talk about them in some other videos and with examples, and some of them will be intermediate courses. That is all for this video, and thank you for watching.